Good morning, BookTube. I just woke up, as you can see. You probably can. My eyes probably still look sleepy, and I'm in my PJs right now. I'm actually off again today, and I think I'm gonna go to the used bookstore later since it's sunny out, and it's gonna be in the 60s apparently. Because the next few days we're gonna get more rain. Yay! Oh, since I'm off again today, I thought I'd tell you what I'm gonna read today. I'm gonna I finished I don't know. I finished the female I don't know if I talked about this in my last video where I did kind of this spontaneous what I'm reading today video, but I did finish the Female Persuasion, and I finished on Sunday. I finished Immortal by Nicole Conway because that's middle grade and it's not long. The books aren't long. I mean, I think either Avion or Trader is the longest, and even then, those books aren't that long either. But I finished that one on Sunday because, like I said, it doesn't take that long to read. So, which is a new world record for me. 8 books in a month. Very, the most I've read is 7. So, yeah, it's not much, but still, I mean, compared to what usually happens, still is pretty good. So, I was able to, although last night I was just thinking about, right before I'm in weird dreams, I had some weird dreams last night, actually. I had a dream about that myself, my parents, my sister and her husband, their 2 boys went to a theme park, like a water park, and it was, the boys were still little, and so that in itself, my sister and brother-in-law would never do. They are gonna wait until the boys are a little bit older before they take them to a theme park, especially a water park with really deep water slides, but they were, and for some reason, to get through to the one we were going to, we had to go past through another theme park, which really big with really steep, really tall roller coasters, and you had to cross a bridge that reminded me of the bridge you cross when you go from Maryland to Virginia. The bridge with the smokestack look like that are black, that are white and red. They look like I used to call them candy canes. We had to cross a bridge like that. And then for some reason, even though we were in the car, we still got wet. It was very weird. That's how my dreams are. The ones that I remember are always weird or random. Like the night before, I had a dream, which this one wasn't entirely random. I actually had a dream about me and Cameron Monaghan. Of course, if my friend watches this video, she's gonna give me a hard time. She's gonna tease me about this, probably, but I didn't even want to tell her because I wanted to keep this to myself. I just don't. I mean, of course, if you admit that you don't want to be, you just want to keep something, people will tease you more because they'll be like, oh, you're so embarrassed. It's so cute. It's like, no, I just don't want to share it. I mean, but I guess it doesn't matter what I say. People will still be like, oh, you're embarrassed. It's adorable. And for me, it's like, no, not really. I just don't want to share it because I know you're going to make a big deal of it. But, which I hope I don't ever hurt, because I know that, Terry she does watch some of my videos, at random times, and I always worry that I'm going to say something that will hurt her feelings, because, I ramble. All I do is random talk about, whatever's on my mind, and this is not even what this is about. These videos are, I'm supposed to be talking about books here, but yeah, so anyway, in the dream, apparently it was kind of more of a casual interaction. It wasn't like a fangirl moment where I was like, oh my god, I love you. And by the way, I'm talking about Cameron Monaghan from the show Gotham on Fox. He's the guy who plays the proto Joker, because they can't officially call him the Joker. And he was, I think, I want to say his hair was starting to turn back to red, because if you've been watching the show, he had to dye his hair black so he could look even more like the Joker. So he dyed his hair black, like close to with a greenish tint. But I had a dream that his hair was going back. We were in some kind of lunchroom type place, and we were like talking. It was like a cross between being inside a lunchroom. Like, it's actually, ironically, it's the lunchroom I pictured when reading, when I read some of Rose Blood that what I read before I DNF'd the book. Where it was kind of partially outdoors, partially inside, if that makes any sense. And, like, it looked kind of like a mixture of a fancy campground cafeteria. It's hard to explain. But, like, in the dream, I kind of knew him a little bit more than I do in the dream. And like I said, his hair was starting to change back to a reddish color. So it was different. It was kind of weird, because it was like I knew him a little bit more. Like, he was just another guy I went to high school with, which could possibly happen, because because there's not much of an age gap between us, but he is the first actor I've had a crush on that's a little bit younger than me. Most of them are much older than me. So anyway, let me get to the books. So what I might do is read a little bit more of The Stand, by Stephen King, which right now I'm at the part where we're back with Larry Underwood, and he's been walking for a long time, to the point of he eventually passes out, because he's been walking so long without food, water. He passed out essentially from exhaustion, I'm guessing. And it turns out he's been this woman, Nadine, and this little boy that she had rescued, Joe, but that's not his real name. She just calls him Joe, because he doesn't talk, so he never told her his name. They have been following him, and Joe, who, like, he's, I guess, because of the trauma, it's kind of made him a little savage. He's like, oh, Lord of the Flies, in a way. And he decides to, because he's worried about Nadine and he doesn't want Larry to hurt Nadine and go after her, he decides to attack Larry with a butcher knife. And he finally attacks him after several attempts of wanting to go after him, but Nadine stops him. He goes after him when Larry finally gets to a beach. He does start sensing that they're following him, but he's not 100% sure. He gets to a beach, so, he's kind of in a vulnerable moment, because he loves the beach, and he's just standing there, and Joe comes after him, but luckily he's able to stop just in time. But in the process, he kind of hurts him a little bit. He kind of crushes his hand, I think. Not actually to the point where he breaks it or anything, but he kind of steps on his hand, I think. I don't remember. I would have to reread it. But finally, Nadine, who was charging over to him to stop Joe from killing Larry, because he's just a random guy that they met, and she wants some human interaction other than Joe. So, of course, Joe still doesn't trust him, but they end up traveling together. And Larry's still kind of having those dreams of the Dark Man, and he's fighting his temper. There are moments when his temper starts to flare again. Like when they're traveling, they decide to steal some motorcycles so it'll be easier, they don't have to walk anymore. And Nadine thinking, oh, it's just another bike, not a big deal. But he's, no, it's a motorcycle, and it's a lot more dangerous than a regular bike. And he almost loses his temper. And just when he had started to gain ground with Joe and get him to like him, in fact, they bonded over the guitar. Which, that's my younger nephew's favorite word now. Guitar. It's really cute. just when he and Joe were kind of bonding over the guitar, when Larry almost loses his temper and is starting to hurt Nadine, like he's digging his fingers into her shoulders and causing a bruise. He loses ground with Joe for that moment. Joe stops trusting him again. But yeah, and they actually end up coming across the barn where Francie and Harold had stopped, and where they had left, Harold carved into the barn a message where they were going. They were going to this place in Vermont that they thought would help them, a kind of a health facility, like a safe haven. But of course, I know that it turns out the place isn't real because they met Stu Redman and some other people who said that, this place doesn't actually, the place doesn't exist. Either it got destroyed or I don't remember. So, and then Larry starts having the dreams again. Which, by the way, I feel like my theory about those dreams is it only affects, it's most strong on people that have a little bit of darkness in them. Like Larry has a bit of, he's very selfish, and he has a bit of that, like, selfishness, that edginess, that temper control, where he could probably potentially be abusive. And he's struggling with that. That's like his inner turmoil. And I feel like that kind of affects the dreams of the Dark Man kind of affect those kind of people. Because then you also have Joe, who it turns out, you find out in this scene, you find out that Joe is also having dreams. Although no, I thought he was having dreams about, I don't know, I think he's also having dreams about the Dark Man, and he's gone a little savage. Because, he's trying to survive, and he's just this little boy who doesn't understand. And I guess Nadine is also having the dreams too. And then they meet this woman whose name is, let me just go back and look. Let me see if I can see what her name is. Okay, so yeah, it is Lucy. They meet Lucy, who is this middle-aged woman that was married. She had a son, a husband, and a daughter, but they both died. And she has come upon them because she's been traveling for days too, of course. She comes upon them, and it turns out she's also having the dreams too. But Larry also had a dream of Mother Abigail, who told him to, and Joe and Nadine were in the dream, and she was like, you guys need to come to me where you're safe. The Dark Man can't get you. But then, I don't know if Nadine was actually having the dream too, at the same time he was, but I know that she was like, no, we are going to Vermont, and she gets, really upset about that. Now, the reason why I came with that's my theory, is because Nick did have a dream about the Dark Man, but he's only had one dream about the Dark Man. And he is definitely determined to go to Mother Abigail. Except for, he did threaten that one woman. But I feel like that was, of course, that was kind of more self-defense. Of course, with Joe, you could say it's also self-defense. Because he does, like I said, he doesn't understand. Now, of course, what my theory, I'm not saying that these people are bad people, but I feel like there is potential darkness in them. And I feel like with Nick, to me, I haven't got that impression. Except for when granted, you could argue the darkness, he ran into that one woman, but she was not helping his situation. Like I said, it was more self-defense on his part. Like, he was trying to help Tom, who had gotten sick from eating too much. And he was trying to give him medicine, and that woman was saying, no, it's poison. She was just joking around. But the problem is, Tom did not understand that. He really legitimately thought she was telling the truth, that was poison. So that's why Nick was like, okay, you need to go away, because you're not helping. And I think he was getting very fed up with her and her personality. because she was just someone who was very self-centered, spoiled, lived in a fantasy world, which I guess that's the best way to cope with this kind of situation. But still, I mean, the problem with that is this is reality. Their reality is they're trying to all survive, and she's not. Sorry, I still got sleepies and mazzies. I mean, I literally did just wake up. I mean, I did do all my little things like making my bed and stuff like that, and my push-ups. But still, of course. And then we also, like I said, see what else happened. I forgot what else I was gonna say. I think the next section will be about we'll get to actually meet Mother Abigail, not just in a dream. In the next chapter. But anyway, it's going very slowly with this book. That's the thing about Stephen. His books are so long and chunky. I mean, not all of them are, but a lot of them are. And my goal is to get it done or at least get a lot done by June. Before June, or by the time we go on the cruise, because I don't know if I want to necessarily bring this one with me on the cruise. So I'm going to bring books, even though when we go on the cruise, I probably won't. The only time I'll probably read is when we go to bed. Which might not happen even then, because I'll be extremely tired. Although, I guess I might be able to get some reading done at the pool. Because they usually have pools on these cruise ships. There's a pool area. But the only problem is, I know my mom... Well, this is not a problem. It's a good thing. My mom let me invite my friend Terry. But herein lies the problem, is that I know that because I'll be so excited that she's there and everything, so it's like I'll want to talk to her, so I won't. So it's a problem for my reading. That's what I mean. Like, I won't get any reading done because I might talk to her, but I am determined to get some reading done. And I think she would understand. I would hope that she would, get that and not let me be dominated by us talking. Which, again, not a bad thing. I'm not saying that as in, it's a bad thing, because I wanted her to come. So I'm gonna read a little, I know I need to read a little bit of that. So, once again, I did try to read a little bit more of this book, Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. So currently, we're at the part when Raskolnikov is still kind of fighting a supposed sickness. He's going a little crazy, and like I said, I still don't know if maybe it's guilt and he can't handle the fact that, I killed this guy. He didn't kill a guy. He killed a woman, the female pawnbroker, and her sister, and his conscience is struggling with the fact that he murdered a woman and her sister, who was innocent. I mean, both of them were innocent. And maybe he's not as strong and confident as he thinks he is. But his friend Razumnikin does not know he's the one who did it. And I think he did tell another friend, Zomatov. He just, when he went to take a walk and he met him in a bar, I think he did tell him, he confessed to him, but the guy didn't believe him, thought he was joking. Or maybe that he was coming and providing an example. Because everyone's talking about this murder and everything, and the police are investigating. And the fact that they caught someone that they think is guilty. And Raskolnikov, his sister Duna and mom arrive. Which, okay, this is one of the things that bothers me. I don't understand but maybe because it's an older book and in respect kind of thing or whatever, but they call the male characters all by their last names, when that's what the author does when he's referring to them saying something, he refers to it by their last names, just that their last name. But with the female characters, like his mom and his sister, he says their whole name, both their first and their last name, and I'm like, that it's so frustrating because I don't know how to pronounce these names quite correctly, so having to say those names when I'm reading is a bit tongue-tying. But then when Raskolnikov is talking to when there's dialogue where Raskolnikov or his mom is talking to his sister, or vice versa. He's talking to his mom, and his sister is talking to his mom. They address them by their regular names. I mean, I guess because they're family. And I don't get how Duna comes out of his sister's first name at the Dovita. I don't know, but it's very weird. The names thing is a little off for me, a little weird for me. But anyway, either way, so his sister Duna and mom show up, and they're really worried. And of course, his mom is like freaking out and overly worried. You know, being a mom of a boy, you know. And like his sister has no problem with. She doesn't. I mean, she cares about him, but she's not as cautious as his mom wants her to be. She's like, there's moments where she kind of does something that could potentially make him angry. And the mom's like, no, Duna, don't say that. Or why did you say that? You're risking his temper and everything. Duna's like, whatever. You know, I'm just speaking the truth. Or like saying, and also the fact that she's worried about his health. She's not gonna coddle him about it though. She's not gonna be overprotective of him, but she is concerned about his health. And when they met him, when they were talking to him, Raskolnikov was like, no, you're not marrying this guy. And he's like, I know you're only doing this for me because I'm in debt currently, which is, I don't know why, but I do think I have reason to suspect that it's probably his own fault that he's in debt. Like he probably spent all of his money, but I don't know the reason, so maybe it's not his own fault, but yeah, she's like, no, he's like, no, you're not gonna, and Duna's like, yes, I am. I like this guy. You know, I'm not in love with him, but I do like him, and he respects me, and I respect him. And but Raskolnikov doesn't think the guy really respects her as a woman, which I don't know how he can tell, because we just know that the guy is a bit arrogant and superior. I would have to go back and read their conversations, or the scene with the two of them together, see if there's any impression there that. But you know, I'll probably cheat and just go onto Wikipedia and read what the Wikipedia page says about when it sums up that section of the book, because I'm on another section, or I'm close to another section, and then also Razumnikin has meets the mom and the sister, and he immediately is infatuated with Duna. He has a little bit of a crush, and admits that he doesn't like her fiance. And unfortunately, he says that while he's drunk. The next morning when he's sober, he feels like really dumb about it and really ashamed about it, because he's like, I know I was drunk and I embarrassed myself in front of his mom and his sister. But that's really all that's going on. Like, I attempted to read a little bit more last night before I went to bed, but then I couldn't keep my eyes open, so I ended up stopping. So, let's see. Did I read? I feel like I didn't read much. Like, I know that his sister and mom are still awfully worried about him and still think he might be a little bit ill. And then Sonia, the daughter who became the daughter of the guy he met in the beginning in the bar and told him about his family, and she's the one who unfortunately had to become a prostitute to help her family. She shows up to thank Raskolnikov for giving them the money, you know, and she's seeing his surrounding, feels guilty about it, you know, about what she's, you know, how he gave all their money, because his house, his little apartment's kind of small and sparse, and she's feeling like horrible about it. But the mom does not trust her. She's a little suspicious of her. While, and I just got to the part where we're back in the apartment, and Raskolnikov and Sonia are starting to talk. My back is so dry, but then it's itchy in places where I can barely reach. I do have like a stick where there's lotion inside of it, but sometimes I wonder if the lotion is even really spreading on my back. So I'm probably gonna focus the most on that one today, Crime and Punishment. And then I also started reading. I'm back to reading American Gods by Neil Gaiman, and we've got to the part where Mr. Wednesday, they just finished robbing banks. Like, Mr. Wednesday had got Shadow to help him rob some banks. I do not know why. I guess they need money for some reason. And he has taken him to the world's largest carousel. Because apparently there's magic at these places like theme parks and tourist attractions. Like, there's magic there for some reason, and because they're thinking, like, because he kind of explains it that people, I don't remember what he says about why tourist attractions are known for having magic there. Although he says that, I'm kind of disappointed when he said Walt Disney World doesn't have any magic, because it's like just a carbon copy of Disneyland. But he does say there might be some magic in Disneyland. And I can't go to Disneyland, so I can't feel the magic. But seriously though, so he takes them to this carousel and they meet up with Cernsborg. I don't know if I'm saying that name right. Sometimes, like, that's one of those names that is spelled like it starts with a C, but I think you don't pronounce the C. And there was another guy there with him, but I don't know if I don't remember who that other guy was. But they get on the carousel, and it's like filled with mythological creatures that they ride on instead of like traditional horses. There's like animals like griffins and stuff like that. And it starts moving, and then he ends up somehow, and I think it's a mental thing more. It's not like they didn't physically, I think they didn't physically actually leave. They just went into Mr. Wednesday's mind. I want to say it was Mr. Wednesday's mind, but I'm not sure. And he meets the gods. He meets all the old gods, and Mr. Wednesday tries to convince him, it's like, okay, there's these new gods showing up. They're gonna try to get rid of us, eliminate us. We need to do something. But some of the gods are like, nope. This happens all the time. The humans always find a new godlike creature to worship, and eventually it will die, and we will never die. But Mr. Wednesday's a little concerned. Oh, and by the way, apparently Mr. Wednesday, I think he's Odin. I think he's actually Odin. From Norse mythology. And he decides to, and then, so, unfortunately he can't get through to them, so they leave, but Cernsborg tells Shadow, who's a little concerned about he's like, they didn't seem to believe him. And he's like, oh, well, it just takes time. He'll have to talk to each one of them individually. But just as when they're leaving, Shadow gets kidnapped, and I'm guessing it's one of the new gods. Possibly the guy that kidnapped him before. But I don't know. Who knows? But I did stop there. I've been reading basically a little bit at a time in this book. Because it's still, despite the fact that it doesn't look like it, it's still a pretty big book. And I imagine if this was mass market, it would be very chunky looking. This is actually the 10th anniversary edition. And it's also the tie-in show edition, because this is a show on Starz. I never got into it. I wanted to, because of course it's fantasy. And I wanted to get into it, but I never did, so, and then now we do still have Starz, but who knows, we might lose it in the next few months, like maybe this summer we might lose it, because, cable's expensive, and my mom is paying for it, so she doesn't want to have to pay, she's tired of paying the fact that the cable companies will raise the daggone prices, so she might get rid of them, or at least negotiate with the cable people. And then last, I'm going to read Alanna Moore of The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. And right now I'm on the part where you have Cora. She has been at Aldwinter, where the Essex Serpent is. And of course, William doesn't believe in the Essex Serpent, and he doesn't like how his congregation believes in it. He's concerned about it because he wants them to not turn to superstition, he wants them to turn to God. And it's really frustrating for him. And during one of his sermons that Cora decides to attend before she leaves, she runs into this crazy guy that believes in the Essex Serpent, is like trying to tell her that it's real and she has to be careful, and he wants to know what she thinks. But then eventually she ends up leaving Aldwinter and goes to Gloucester. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but she goes to Gloucester for a time, and then she receives a letter from William's wife, I want to say, who says, we all miss you guys. We want you to come back. And she's already I think she's decided at this point that she is going to come back. Oh, and, the one thing I don't get is there's letters exchanged between Cora and whoever, but there's also random letters made between, other characters that I'm confused. I still can't figure out what their connection is to the whole Cora and the whole Essex, and Cora William and the Essex Serpent thing. So, I'm a little confused. I'm guessing, obviously, it does have something to do with the story, because the author wouldn't put it in unless it had to do with the story, because authors don't do that. That's a little too random. So, I don't know. I love this cover, by the way. I love this cover, and I'm one of those people who likes deckle edges. This is deckle edges. Okay, so the only problem is I get why people do not like these dust jackets, because they do tend to slide when you're reading the book. So that's what I think I'm going to read today. Like I said, I think I'm going to focus more on Crime and Punishment, and I'll probably bring these books with me to the used bookstore along with my laptop. But I might read some, or I might just bring, because my laptop is kind of heavy, it's still kind of heavy to bring with me because I walk to the bookstore. But it's only a 10-minute walk, but still, carrying my backpack, my purse, my backpack with my books in it, and my purse, and then carrying my laptop, still kind of a bit much. So I might just throw in a notebook in there. But anyway, so that's, like I said, that's what I'm gonna read today. The weird thing is I'm going through that when I finish a book, I always go through that phase where there's books that I'm not currently reading that I'm excited to read and eager to read them, and I desire to read them right now. But at the same time, I don't want to read them because I want to get these books, at least one of these books, done. But, I don't know if that's going to happen. I keep thinking, okay, I need to read a book that I'm going to get done a lot faster. And I am thinking about Phantom of the Opera, which I'm surprised, but does not look that chunky. Which, like I said, I'm kind of surprised. I thought it would be a chunkier book, but it doesn't look that chunky. But maybe that's just the hardback edition doesn't look that chunky. I hope it's not an abridged version, which I know would not be necessarily a bad thing, and it might be good for some books, like Dickens, for instance. It might be good to read abridged versions of Dickens books, or of Moby Dick, or Lord of the Rings, for instance. Which, by the way, with Lord of the Rings, I put the audio CD for the Lord of the Rings trilogy on my Amazon wishlist. But that is it's not cheap. But I put it on there because, I think that's the only way I'll ever read the book. Because a part of me does want to read the book. I just don't. It's just kind of annoying how I feel like people are, every so often I hear people's comments about how they love the book and you should read the book because, it's awesome, and I'm sure it is. It's a very challenging read, and I have attempted to read the first 4 chapters of Fellowship. Anyway, yeah, so there's books that I think, oh, I want to start reading that book. But then there's also books that I need to, like I want to finish both Hero of Ages and Royal Assassin before June. I definitely need to read those two. I want to get those read before June because I don't want to have to worry about them when we go on the cruise. So, I mean, of course, we're not going, like, right the first week of June. We're going, like, mid-June, I think is when we're going. So, I could potentially get it done. I mean, so I could do some reading the 2 or 3 weeks before we go for the cruise, before we leave for the cruise. But either way, I want to get those 2 read beforehand, before then. And then there's books like Theft of Swords. I'm on the second novella. I need to start reading that, and I need to get back into reading Malice too. And then there's other Stephen King books other than The Stand that I've started that I need to finish. Like my reread of It, I need to finish. And way before we even moved, I had started reading The Eyes of the Dragon. So I need to get back into reading that one. That might be a book I should bring with me on the cruise. Or start reading like now. But anyway, so would love to know what you guys are reading. Feel free to share in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already. And click the bell icon below if you want to be notified. And I think I might do this like every time I'm off. Like when I get up, just make this a routine. Another part of my routine is making videos on my off days and just talk about what I'm gonna read on those days. So I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye! Enjoy your reading.